There is no end to education. It is not that you read a book, pass an examination, and finish with education. The whole of life, from the moment you are born to the moment you die, is a process of learning. We now accept the fact that learning is a lifelong process of keeping abreast of change. And the most pressing task is to teach people how to learn. I am always ready to learn, although I do not always like being taught. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. Wisdom is not a product of schooling but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it. One learns from books and example only that certain things can be done. Actual learning requires that you do those things. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. Develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow. 1 hour per day of study in your chosen field is all it takes. 1 hour per day of study will put you at the top of your field within 3 years. Within 5 years you'll be a national authority. In 7 years you can be one of the best people in the world at what you do. You don't understand anything until you learn it more than one way. He who laughs most learns best. Research shows that you begin learning in the womb and go right on learning until the moment you pass on. Your brain has a capacity for learning that is virtually limitless, which makes every human a potential genius. Spoon feeding in the long run teaches us nothing but the shape of the spoon. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. In the end, we retain from our studies only that which we practically apply. Study hard what interests you the most in the most undisciplined, irreverent, and original manner possible. True teachers are those who use themselves as bridges over which they invite their students to cross. Then, having facilitated their crossing, joyfully collapse, encouraging them to create their own. That is what learning is. You suddenly understand something you've understood all your life, but in a new way. Change is the end result of all true learning. The beautiful thing about learning is nobody can take it away from you. Being a student is easy. Learning requires actual work. William Crawford. If you think education is expensive, try estimating the cost of ignorance. Howard Gardner. The great aim of education is not knowledge but action. Herbert Spencer. Study without desire spoils the memory, and it retains nothing that it takes in. Leonardo da Vinci. Education without application is just entertainment. Tim Sanders. I am still learning. Michelangelo, age 87. Recipes tell you nothing. Learning techniques is the key. Tom Colicchio. The ability to speak exactly is intimately related to the ability to know exactly. Wendell Berry. It is what we know already that often prevents us from learning. Claude Bernard. Learning is synthesizing seemingly divergent ideas and data. Terry Hike. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Alvin Toffler. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. Harry S. Truman. I never learned from a man who agreed with me. Robert A. Heinlein. You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing, and by falling over. Richard Branson. A man who asks is a fool for 5 minutes. A man who never asks is a fool for life. Chinese proverb. A moment's insight is sometimes worth a life's experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. Confucius. You can teach a student a lesson for a day, but if you can teach him to learn by creating curiosity, he will continue the learning process as long as he lives. Clay P. Bedford. The most useful piece of learning for the uses of life is to unlearn what is untrue. Antisthene. The purpose of learning is growth, and our minds, unlike our bodies, can continue growing as we continue to live. Mortimer Adler. Every act of conscious learning requires the willingness to suffer an injury to one's self-esteem. That is why young children, before they are aware of their own self-importance, learn so easily. Thomas Saz. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Benjamin Franklin. The whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. Sidney J. Harris. You cannot help but learn more as you take the world into your hands. Take it up reverently, for it is an old piece of clay, with millions of thumbprints on it. John Updike. There is divine beauty in learning. To learn means to accept the postulate that life did not begin at my birth. Others have been here before me, and I walk in their footsteps. Elie Wiesel. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Malcolm X. Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning. William Arthur Ward. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. John F. Kennedy. Education is the ability to listen to almost anything without losing your temper or your self-confidence. Robert Frost. The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Dr. Seuss. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. W.B. Yeats. Those people who develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to their work and to their lives will be the movers and shakers in our society for the indefinite future. Brian Tracy. Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended with diligence. Abigail Adams. If you are willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. Anonymous. The expert in anything was once a beginner. Anonymous. Everything is a learning experience. Angus T. Jones. Continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. Mark Twain. The purpose of education is to replace an empty mind with an open one. Malcolm Forbes. If knowledge is power, then learning is a superpower. Jim Quick. Cultivation to the mind is as necessary as food to the body. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Learn continually. There's always one more thing to learn. Steve Jobs. What we learn with pleasure we never forget. Alfred Mercier. If you have knowledge, let others light their candles in it. Margaret Fuller. Never let formal education get in the way of your learning. Mark Twain. The most important attitude that can be found is the desire to go on learning. John Dewey. Knowledge, like air, is vital to life. Like air, no one should be denied it. Alan Moore. All the world is my school and all humanity is my teacher. George Whitman. No problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking. Voltaire. Learning is like rowing upstream. Not to advance is to drop back. Anonymous. The greatest teacher, failure is. Yod.